Out of nowhere, my phone started ringing. It was my sister, Sarah. The moment I picked up, I could hear her sobbing, her voice trembling with distress. Something was terribly wrong. "They destroy my house," she cried, barely able to get the words out. Confused and alarmed, I pressed for details. Between choked sobs, she explained that while she had been away on a business trip to Chicago for just 4 days, her entire house had been demolished.
Gone.
Leveled to the ground. I was in complete disbelief.
What?
This had to be some kind of mistake. No one just tears down a house without notice, right? Without wasting another second, I jumped into my car and drove straight to our hometown. My mind raced the entire way. What had happened? Who was responsible? And most importantly, how was Sarah supposed to recover from something like this? But nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I arrived. The spot where Sarah's beautiful home once stood was now nothing more than a wasteland of broken wood, shattered glass, and piles of rubble. It looked like a hurricane had torn through, but this was no natural disaster. This was intentional. Sarah stood frozen, staring at the ruins of her life, her eyes red and swollen from crying. I could feel the weight of her pain just by looking at her. "I was only gone for 4 days," she whispered, her voice barely audible, her whole body trembling. "I came back and it was all gone." We walked cautiously around the wreckage, trying to make sense of the destruction. That's when we spotted them. HOA signs posted all around the lot. Then, right in front of us, a huge billboard loomed, mocking us with bold letters. "Future community garden coming soon. Pine Crest HOA." I turned to Sarah in shock. "Wait, you mean to tell me the homeowners association did this?" Sarah swallowed hard, nodding. "I never got any warning. No letters. No emails. No phone calls. Nothing." As we stood there in stunned silence, an old neighbor cautiously approached. He glanced around, as if making sure no one else was listening, before leaning in. "It was Karen Winters," he said in a hushed voice. "She's the one behind this." Karen Winters, the HOA president. "She became president last year," the neighbor continued, shaking his head. "Ever since then, she's been making life miserable for homeowners. Changing rules. Threatening people. And now this." My jaw clenched. This wasn't just some bureaucratic mix-up. This was abuse of power. But there was one thing the HOA didn't know about me. I'm the county sheriff. Well, technically, I'm the sheriff for the next county over, but that still gives me access to resources and legal knowledge that they clearly weren't expecting. However, I decided not to reveal my position just yet. If they knew who I was, they'd probably start covering their tracks, lawyering up, and making excuses. No, I needed to investigate first, gather proof, and catch them red-handed before they had a chance to hide anything. I turned to Sarah and whispered, "Don't mention that I'm in law enforcement. Let's see what they have to say for themselves first." The rage boiling inside me only intensified as I looked at my devastated sister. Someone was going to pay for this, and I was going to make damn sure that justice was served. The confrontation. The next morning, Sarah and I wasted no time. We marched straight to the HOA office. The building was small but obnoxiously fancy, with Pine Crest Homeowners Association displayed in shimmering gold letters above the entrance. Sarah hesitated. I could see the anxiety in her face, but I gave her a reassuring nod. "Stay calm. Let me do the talking." As we stepped inside, a woman sat at the front desk, typing away on her computer. She had a sharp blonde bob, expensive clothes, and an air of self-importance that made my blood boil before she even spoke. She didn't even glance up when we entered. I cleared my throat. "Excuse me," I said, keeping my voice polite but firm. "We need to speak with whoever is in charge of demolition approvals." Finally, she looked up, her face immediately twisted into an expression of annoyance. "That would be me," she said in a clipped tone. "Karen Winters, HOA president. Do you have an appointment?" Sarah stepped forward, her voice shaking but full of determination. "I'm Sarah Johnson. You demolished my house on Maple Street while I was away. I want to know why." Karen sighed dramatically, as if we were wasting her precious time. She lazily clicked on her computer before responding.
Ah,
742 Maple Street. Yes, that property was in serious violation of our community standards. Sarah's face paled. I never received any notices, she protested. You can't just tear down someone's house. Karen gave Sarah a condescending smile, as if she were explaining something to a child. Oh, but we can, she said smugly. Section 8, paragraph 4 of the HOA agreement clearly states that after 3 violations, the association is allowed to take corrective action. I stepped in, my voice ice cold. Corrective action means fines or forced repairs, not demolishing an entire house. Karen finally seemed to take notice of me. She raised an eyebrow. And you are? I'm her brother, I said flatly. And I want to understand how any of this could possibly be legal. Karen smirked. The procedures were followed. The board voted. It's all very proper and by the book. I clenched my jaw, keeping my anger in check. I'd like to see the documentation for these so-called violations and the demolition approval. Karen's expression hardened. That's confidential HOA business. Members only. Sarah's voice broke. You destroyed everything I own. My photos. My grandmother's jewelry. My entire life. And you're telling me I wasn't even notified? Karen's eyes gleamed with arrogance. Perhaps next time, you'll take HOA violations more seriously. I felt my badge pressing against my pocket, begging to be revealed. But not yet. No, I needed to build a case first. I stepped closer. We're not leaving until we see those documents. Karen stood up sharply. Then I'll have to call security. This is private property, and you're becoming disruptive. I exhaled slowly, gripping Sarah's shoulder to calm her. This wasn't the time. We'll go, I said, my voice low with restrained fury. But this isn't over. As we turned to leave, Karen called after us, her voice dripping with smugness. The community garden will be lovely, much better than that eyesore. Sarah collapsed into tears in the car. How can she just get away with this? I started the engine, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Oh, she won't, I promised. She had no idea who she was dealing with. And I was about to ruin her entire world.